you would have a better level of protection. I do this all the time. I love an umbrella. I love a good umbrella. We're giving the client what they want, but at the same time, we want to be in control of the game. Hello, friends. Stephen Harrington Dakota, your agency BFF and performance coach with Agency Performance Partners, also known as the Diva of Insurance. Super excited to talk to you today about a couple different things. What I did is something a little different for this blog that is just coming out and how to handle objections in insurance. I did a bunch of scripts, so it's something a little different. I'm going to talk through some of those with you so you get a better handle on what to do or how to think. And really, it's just important to remember that to overcome objections, it's an everyday occurrence. No matter what we're doing, or whether it's work or at home, there's always something coming up that there's an objection we have to work through. So we need to remember to listen and hear what people are really saying, not just what they're saying. And then be prepared to overcome the objection. I think the best way to do this is to do a lot of role play, listen and learn through experience, and just listening in on how other people are handling situations as well. So, whenever you have a great story or great success, share it. Let other people know because they can learn from it too, just like you can learn if somebody is going to share with you. So, going through some of these scripts, come up with your own objections, write down the top 3 or 4 things that you hear every day, and just work through them one at a time and see what are some of the outcomes that you've had. Or if you're newer to insurance, ask other people. Ask them what they've had to deal with or what their biggest objections normally are. So let's talk through a couple of these real fast. So one of the ones that comes up quite often when we're quoting, so for producers or those of you that are cross-selling, when new business is coming in, are we trying to quote more than one line of business? If the client's only calling in for an auto quote, is it still possible to quote their home, umbrella, boat, motorcycle, dwelling, fire at the same time? I say absolutely. But the biggest objection is I'm only calling in for this. It's the one track mind. The client's going to tell you, or the prospect's going to tell you that's not what they're calling about. Like, why are you asking me so many questions about my home? All I really wanted to do was talk to you about my auto today. They're stuck on the one line of business. So what we need to do is let them know why it's important. So we can let them know that they could miss out on one of the biggest discounts that carriers offer. So are they okay with missing out on the discount? And a lot of times they'll be like, well, I don't know. We just want to show them the options that are available. Let them know that there's no obligation, but we want to make sure that we're getting them the best rate possible. And sometimes that comes through the form of the multi policy discount. Sometimes that comes with asking some additional questions that may or may not qualify them for some additional discounts. Really, we're trying to go prospecting to uncover all of their needs so that we can provide them with the best insurance solution, not the cheapest price. Because if we sell on price, we lose on price and we have to service on price. As most of us know, that becomes very tedious. If we move a person for price at renewal, they're going to start calling every year, or they might start calling every year because they expect that we have a magic wand and we're going to be able to save them money every time they're unhappy with something. And really, that's just not a reality. As we know, the insurance marketplace is getting tougher and tougher, and it's harder to place business places. Again, trying to overcome that one track mind, let them know why we're doing what we're doing, and really it's in their best interest for us to do that. Another one I see a lot is they like their current agent. We're talking to them, we're like, hey, I know you called in for a home quote, but what about your auto? They're like, oh no, my auto's with so and so. Then we should ask them, well, then would you mind telling me why you're calling me for a home quote? If you're so happy with XYZ agency, why are you calling me? And wait for an answer. And if it's because it's poor condition, it has the roof needs to be updated, there's other underwriting reasons that we might not be able to place it in one of our markets, we can let them know, hey, thank you so much for thinking of us, but unfortunately, we don't really have a market for that either. Or if you do have a market, just say, hey, I understand that XYZ wasn't able to help you out. If I'm able to help you with this, would you also allow me to review your account as a whole? Again, we want to make sure that you're fully protected. And we can't do that unless we have the complete picture. And if the client says no, we have to decide if it's still a great fit for the agency or not. And there's all kinds of different agencies out there, all kinds of different agency cultures. Sometimes hard to place home is right at home with that agency, and they're going to take it and run with it. If you're an ultra preferred agency or somebody that really is a smaller agency and you have limited markets, is it worth your time to work on a home that's going to be hard to place where they won't allow you to look at any of the other business? More than likely, whenever they fix the problem with the home, the roof, the paint, whatever the reason was, they'll call their friend that has the auto and move it back to them anyways. So you're really kind of wasting your time if we can't build a solid relationship from the beginning. Something else we hear a lot: send me the quote. That's great. Just send me the quote. I'll just review it, send it to me. Again, we're happy to send over the proposal for them to review, but we want to make sure that they don't have any other questions that would keep them from moving forward. And we could ask them, before I do that, is there anything that you've heard that would keep you from moving forward with your quote once we get you the information? And let them talk. And if it's a no, then great. How about I send you over the application to review? That way you can review it and reach out with any questions before you sign. Fair enough? I mean, we want to make sure that we're giving the client what they want, but at the same time, we want to be in control of the game. We don't want them just taking the quote and running off to their agent or somebody else to share it with them. We don't want to share our homework with the world. Another objection we have is when we're trying to talk to somebody about limits. They're an existing customer and maybe on their auto policy, they have lower property damage limits or liability limit. When they're calling in to add a car, we should really be reviewing that. If their limits are less than the cost of the car, we need to bring that to their attention. I know some of you are like, well, yeah. Others of you are like, what'd you just say? So we want to make sure that if cost of the car is higher than the limits they currently have on their insurance, we're bringing it to their attention. If we have a $50,000 car, but we only have 10,000 in property damage, if they got in an accident, they couldn't even repair their own car for the limit of insurance they're currently carrying. And we should bring that to their attention and just say, hey, did you know if you got in an accident where you were responsible for the damages, your policy is only going to cover the first $10,000 of that $50,000 car? Wouldn't you agree that it's worth a few dollars more a month to get you a higher limit that would actually cover more realistically the risk that's involved? And they might say yes, great, then take care of it for them. Or if they say no, that they can't afford any more money because they have a new car payment, we really need to drill that home and have them understand that we can increase deductibles to help offset some of that premium. But we're really worried that if they get in an accident, first of all, if you're an uninsured motorist state, is the PD dependent on the primary liability? Some states it is. So if they have 50, 100, 10, they are only going to be able to have $10,000 in property damage to repair their own vehicle as well. I think it's not a scare tactic. We're just letting them know what the risk involved in is. If they still can't afford it or still won't do it, document, document, document. We want to make sure that if they're declining a limit that we offer, it's very clear why. And then we made it very clear what the monthly cost was to them, what the coverage actually covered, and that they still declined it. We can add an additional line of business to an existing customer during any time. If they're calling in for a change or have a question on a policy, why can't we cross sell? I think that a lot of us get a little afraid because we don't want to upset the customer. In the scenario we have, we're looking at adding an umbrella to an existing customer. And the agent, I do this all the time. I love an umbrella. I love a good umbrella. It's, hey, I was reviewing your account. It looks like you might qualify for an additional $1 million in liability coverage for X dollars per month. Objection one is the client thinks they have enough coverage. So client says, you're always trying to sell me something. I have enough coverage. Whoa, did you hear that? The client says they have enough coverage. They must have a crystal ball to know what the claim's going to cost in the event they get in an accident. I don't think any of us have that. And we need to make sure that they understand that. So the overcoming that objection is, I understand that insurance can be complicated. I just want to make sure that you really understand what liability coverage is. Liability means something that you're responsible for, like a car accident that you caused, or if somebody gets injured on your property and you're found to be negligent. We're really trying to protect your investment and make sure that if something was to happen, you would have a better level of protection. An umbrella policy is actually one of the least expensive ways to add additional protection that you probably need. It also helps to cover attorney costs in the event of a claim. You never know how much coverage you will need. Will it be okay if I send you more information about the umbrella coverage along with the application for you to review? Don't take no. We want to get two no's before we move on. And if they still decline, then we're going to document, document, document. I think that's, again, highly important. Make sure the client understands what it is that they are declining. Tell them stories. Tell them what it involves. Tell them how it can affect them in a negative way if they don't have the coverage. Also, we can talk about renewal rate increases. First thing we should be doing, absolutely looking at why the rate changed. Did they have an accident? Did they have a ticket? Did they turn in a claim? What did they have a milestone birthday that makes the price change with the carrier? Did we remove a vehicle and we lost a multi-car discount? Did we add a vehicle? Did we put on a young driver? What happened that really made the rate change? If it was simply a carrier rate increase, that's a totally different conversation than if it's a loss of a multi-policy discount. So if we're looking and they canceled their auto insurance and the homeowner's policy goes up, the simple conversation is, hey, it looks like when you moved your auto coverage to another company, it negatively impacted this because you no longer have multiple policies with the carrier. The carrier was giving you a discount on your home because you had your auto insurance with them as well. So then the customer can rebut and they'll tell us why. Or we can ask them why. Hey, do you mind if I ask you why you moved your coverage? And it could be they got a new car and got coverage through the dealership. They found a better deal online, whatever that may be. But we can go back and say, hey, maybe we should take a look at that again to make sure you know what you got. Did the agent that wrote that for you review your current coverage that you had with us versus what the new policy was, or did they just give you a price and you signed? We want to make sure that you fully understand what it is you got and pinpoint or alert you to any major differences. Would you be willing to share your new policy with me? And if they say no, that's okay, but we can also let them know, well, at least we uncovered why you lost your multi policy discount. We now know why your rate went up. Sorry, there's nothing really else I can do about that unless we move the auto back with the carrier and you're not willing to do that. Is there anything else I can help you with today? Done. We don't have to reshop things just because the client's upset with price. Again, if we sell on price, we service on price, and it can become a service nightmare. And I'm not saying there's not justified cases to reshop things. Again, let's take a second just to make that clear. Sometimes we have to reshop things. 90% of the time, we're more worried about it than they are. Another thing to talk about is putting somebody on EFT. How fun is that conversation? We're like, hey, thanks for calling to make your payment today. Did you know that I can save you a few dollars every month by putting that on automatic deduction? And the client's like, well, I don't know. I want to pay with my credit card. Okay, great. Are you using miles to go somewhere fun? I love using my credit card for miles. Every couple of years we get to go on basically a free vacation. We get to fly for free somewhere, or we can stay at a hotel for free, depending on what our card does. And we could try to build that relationship that way, get them a little excited. Then we can let them know that we can use their credit card if the carrier offers that option to set up their reoccurring payment. Then they will also save a few dollars, but also if something happens and they forget to pay their bill, the policy won't cancel because they can't forget to pay the bill if it's on reoccurring. The safest way is to do routing number and account number. But the objection there we normally get is, hey, I don't like to give out my account information over the phone, or I don't like to give out my checking account information. So then the question is, okay, well, do you have a debit card? Yeah. Okay. Well, you know that your debit card is just checking account, routing number, and account number matched, right? So really, if we put this in, it's going to save you this much more. We can make sure that, like, a credit card expires, you're going to have to remember to update that with us. But your checking account, unless you close your account and go somewhere else, is always going to stay the same. It's a little bit of a safer bet. So just really talk through it with the client, get to the bottom of what it is they need or what their feelings are, and overcome the objection. So at the end of the day, it's up to us, the agent, to assist the client in the best way possible. This means reading between the lines and offering suggestions where needed, being sympathetic, but not apologizing for things that are outside of our control. Let the customer know that we care about them and the outcome. Again, we are the experts, and at the end of the day, they pay us for our knowledge and skill. By talking through different situations with other industry peers, we can sharpen our skills, build confidence, and help customers. We have tons of resources available, training for your staff. We can do virtual, live. We have self-study. You can purchase online school seeds or process pack. We have scripts available. We have all kinds of things to help your agency succeed. So make sure you check out our website at agencyperformancepartners.com or reach out to me, Stephen, at agencyperformancepartners.com. That's Stephen, Stephen, at agencyperformancepartners.com, and find out how we can work with you and your team to help them become more ridiculously amazing. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.